as we admire the facial expression of this lady, I gotta ask you, what emotion is she expressing here? Because in my opinion, it's huge displeasure, extreme displeasure, and this has been the same emotion that she has expressed for the last couple of weeks, ever since the debate. And the reason for this is that she is not used to the press asking uncomfortable questions. Like, I have watched with great interest her career and many of the press conferences that she got, and usually the press is subservient. To the point that even CNN admitted, yeah, like the reason we didn't really talk about Joe Biden is because we didn't want to lose our press credentials. So what we are being told is that in the United States of America, the press is under the control of the government. Not directly through legislation or anything like that, but it's basically if you do not do what you're supposed to do, they can revoke your press access. And this is something that Donald Trump was an absolute moron for not doing. Like, he should have done the same. Like if the other party is taking advantage of the system, like, why wouldn't you? Because I remember the press events that Donald Trump gave, and they were hostile. Like, they were very aggressive. Very rude as well. It wasn't like the fact that they were asking pertinent questions, but they were downright insulting. So, in this case, I wouldn't say that they're insulting, but they're actually asking stuff that normal people ask. And you can see the displeasure on the face of the press secretary because she actually has to do her job. Like, this is literally what she is hired to do. Like, she is a PR person for the White House, and she has to spin things in a way that makes the White House look good. And let's see if she manages to accomplish that.
Just to put a fine point on it right now, for the 4.7 million Americans who have received this debt relief, the average, as you said at the start of this visit, was $35,000 their relief has been for. So I guess why don't those individuals who didn't receive $35,000 in debt cancellation deserve a $35,000 check from other Americans for what other means they would want to use it?
You're talking about
Those people who didn't go to college, so they're not getting debt relief, the $35,000 that they don't get because they didn't go.
We're talking about folks who are in debt who are literally being crushed. Literally being crushed because they took, you know, they took
Literally being crushed.
financially. Okay, is that okay with you? Okay, but I know, but crushed financially, and so they're trying to get their lives back on track.
You know, after seeing that, I unironically believe that left-leaning ideologues would be unable to govern if they were constantly asked common sense questions. The moment they have to deal with common sense, they have no answer. And this is probably why they're such in favor of immigration, because they know that the way they have governed is disastrous, and people have noticed a huge decline in their standards of living, because all they do is wealth extraction. Like, this is what the government does right now. It's wealth extraction and redistributing it to special interest groups, which is literally what's happening in this video. And people notice, well, okay, but my life used to be good 10 years ago. I mean, hell, my life used to be good 5 years ago, and it's getting worse. Why do we keep voting for these people? But meanwhile, an immigrant that comes from a different place where maybe his country is actually worse, he doesn't know just how good things used to be. And they're actually used to things being this way. And not to mention, you know, you go into another country, you maybe not speak the language, you want to get a little bit of welfare. Like, of course you're going to vote for the party that gives you more. There have been a couple of talk shows and interviews comparing the amount of money that an American gets after years of hard work in Social Security compared to someone that just crosses the border yesterday and how much they get. It's a little bit unfair, but like, again, you do not get to see these questions being asked, and they don't have to answer for these questions. They usually just silence people by like, oh, racist, oh, you're committing racism, how dare you, just look the other way and let us govern. So I find it interesting that the press is actually starting to attack the Biden administration, and again, by attacking, I mean bringing common sense questions. And the reason I find it interesting is because of the way the press operates. It's not like the individual journalist makes the decisions. It's not like a YouTuber, you know, like I wake up in the morning and I get to decide what do I talk about today. Do I want to talk about Asmongold or do I want to talk about Joe Biden? What do I think that the public would like to hear? This is not how it works with the corporate media, with the established media. The way it works is that they get from top down a memo and it's like, okay, you're going to cover this today. The editor actually follows the journalist. It's like, oh yeah, you're going to go to the press meeting and you're going to behave in this manner and not in another one, right? And especially like if you risk losing your press credential, which apparently CNN wrote an article about it. It's like they do not want to risk losing their press credential by asking difficult questions. Then if you actually lose it, well, you can get fired, you can get a pay cut, you can get into trouble, so it's a lot better to just play along, you know, like it's just a job for them. They're not interested in the news, they're just going there, asking the questions they're supposed to. I mean, how do you think the life of the average CNN journalist is like? Do you honestly think he cares that much about this? No. He goes to the workplace early in the morning, and he is told, all right, you're going to go to the press conference today, and the president is going to nominate you. You're going to ask him this question in particular, nothing else. And then you're going to record it. He goes like, yes, sir. You know, he goes to the press conference, asks the questions, gets the recording, goes back to work. Congratulations, job well done, goes home and sees his kids. Like, these people have no personality as well. Like, the moment they decide to quit CNN, they're not like Tucker Carlson that's capable of just making a Twitter account and then streams to millions of people. No, like, they quit CNN, no one knows who they are, no one cares, they can start a YouTube channel, no one watches, no one is interested, because they're drones, they're human resources, they're just replaceable. So when I see that all of a sudden they're starting to pressure the Biden administration, the question comes, why? Why now? Why didn't they do it up until now? So, like, what are their bosses telling them? Why? Who has convinced their bosses in order to start pressuring the Biden administration? Because I've noticed a lot more pressure on Biden now than I have noticed on Trump. In fact, there's barely any coverage of Trump now. There is some, but like not as it used to be. And instead, you get questions like that. Now, by the way, this video was a couple of weeks ago. It's not new, but I have seen like many other journalists asking questions from the president at the Big Boy conference. Did you know that? It was a Big Boy conference, yeah. Where he got Putin's name wrong. And yeah, he confused Putin with Zelensky and he confused Kamala Harris with Donald Trump. Anyway, you guys probably know all about that. I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.